You never turn away, you never leave my side. And every time I call your name out just to find that you're already right here with me, never been alone. I can trust you with my heart, 'cause this I know. You are always faithful, you love me from the start. No matter what I'm facing, I will trust you with my heart. You are more than able to lead me through the dark. Your love is never failing, I will trust you with my heart. Whoa, I will trust you with my heart. There are days when I feel I need a friend, and then I hear your voice reminding me again that you're already right here with me, never been alone. I can trust you with my heart, 'cause this I know. You are always faithful, you love me from the start. No matter what I'm facing, I will trust you with my heart. You are more than able to lead me through the dark. Your love is never failing, I will trust you with my heart. Whoa, I will trust you with my heart. No matter what may come, no matter what I go through, God, you are never gonna fail me, I will trust you with my heart. No matter what may come, no matter what I go through, God, you are never gonna fail me, I will trust you with my heart. You are always faithful, you love me from the start. No matter what I'm facing, I will trust you with my heart. You are more than able to lead me through the dark. Your love is never failing, I will trust you with my heart. Whoa, I will trust you with my heart. Whoa, I will trust you with my heart. Whoa, I will trust you with my heart.
Hey Pop Kids! In our final week of the Community Garden series, we've been talking a lot about Jesus. And today, we're taking a look at something the Apostle Paul wrote about Jesus, much later in a letter called Philippians. Paul was writing to the church in the Greek city of Philippi because he wanted to help the people understand how to live with humility. Paul wanted the Philippians to remember how Jesus chose to put others first. But before we get to Paul's words, let's catch up with what happened after Jesus' resurrection with something I call the Pop Kids Pop Quiz. I'll ask you some questions and you get to answer them. Here's your first question. When Jesus came back to life, did he A, immediately return to heaven, or B, stay for a while and spend time with his friends? The correct answer is B. For 40 days after Jesus came back to life, he spent time with his friends. Then he returned to heaven to be with God. As you might imagine, the news about Jesus spread. More and more people began to follow Jesus, including Paul. All right, next question. When Paul first heard about Jesus, did he A, follow Jesus right away, or B, try to stop people from following Jesus? B again. At first, Paul tried to stop people from believing in Jesus. But then Paul himself started following Jesus and traveled all over to start brand new churches and help other people put their faith in Jesus too. Next question. On one of Paul's journeys, he spent about 3 months in the Greek city of Philippi. There, he shared the news about Jesus with a businesswoman named A. Lydia or B. Louisa. The answer is A. Her name was Lydia. Lydia welcomed the new church to meet in her new home. The church in Philippi grew quickly, even after Paul was thrown in prison. Paul was eventually released and continued his travels. He was actually thrown in prison several more times, all because he kept sharing about Jesus. While Paul was in prison, he used his time to write letters to the new churches to help them better follow and live like Jesus. Okay, here's your next question. When Paul was in Rome, that's where he wrote a letter to A. Philadelphians or B. Philippians. It was B. the Philippians. In Paul's letter, he encouraged the Philippians to be humble by putting others first. Here's what Paul wrote. Don't do anything only to get ahead. Don't do it because you are proud. Instead, be humble. Value others more than yourselves. None of you should look out just for your own good. Each of you should also look out for the good of others. As you deal with one another, you should think and act as Jesus did. Philippians 2, verses 3 through 5, and kind of sounds familiar, huh, Pop Kids? Wow, that was a really good advice that Paul gave to the Philippians. He said that we should be humble. We should value others more than ourselves. And what was that last part? Oh yeah, as you deal with one another, you should think and act as Jesus did. Okay, we need to think and act like Jesus. We need to remember how Jesus treated people because he gave us the greatest example of humility. How did Jesus show humility? Well, let's continue reading Paul's letter in Philippians. In his very nature, he was God. Jesus was equal with God, but Jesus didn't take advantage of that fact. Instead, he made himself nothing. He did this by taking on the nature of a servant. He was made just like human beings. He appeared as a man. He was humble and obeyed God completely. He did this even though it led to his death. Even worse, he died on a cross. That's Philippians 2, verses 6 through 8. Did you hear what Paul wrote? Well, here's one more Pop Kids question. Did Jesus choose to live like A, a superstar, or B, a servant? I'll bet you've heard enough about Jesus by now to correctly guess. B, Jesus lived like a servant. He put others first. He showed love to people who had been forgotten. He healed people who were sick. He chose to wash his friends' feet. And then, of course, we have the biggest example of Jesus' humility. He was humble and obeyed God completely. He did this even though it led to his death. Even worse, he died on a cross. Remember, that's Philippians 2:8. Jesus willingly died on the cross because he knew it was God's plan. He did it so we can have a new life now and forever with God. Jesus gave up everything for us because he loves us. So that brings up an important question. How can you and I show humility like Jesus? How can we think and act like he did? How can we put others first in our day-to-day lives? Think about what happens at home. Think about the people you see at school. Think about your teammates or the people in your dance group. Think about the people in your community. What are some of the ways you can put someone else first instead of getting what you feel like you deserve? Let's remember what Paul wrote to the Philippians. We should value others more than ourselves, and we have the very best example of what that means as we look to Jesus. Every day, we can look for opportunities to set aside things we want in order to put others first, just like Jesus did. Put others first because Jesus put you first.
Dear God, thank you for reminding us today of what it really means to live with humility. It can be tough for us to be humble because we like to get our way and put ourselves first. But we know that you can help us put others first and to show humility in all that we do. Please help us remember the example that Jesus gave us and help us choose to live like he did. We love you. Thank you for loving us. Amen.